Hi, I'm Amanda Morgan, and this is Not Just Cute, the podcast, where we discuss all kinds of topics to help bridge the gap that exists between what we know and what we do in early childhood education. We're starting conversations with academics, authors, decision makers, educators, and parents so that together we can improve the quality of early childhood education while at the same time protecting and respecting the childhood experience. This is episode number 8 in a 9-episode series called Why We Play. For years, I've been speaking at workshops and conferences about the power of play in the early learning environment, which sparked the series of parent letters I've written called Why We Play. This month, I've been sharing a special podcast series with the same name, Why We Play. Each Tuesday and Thursday in February, I've put out a new episode sharing the science and stories behind why we play. Evidence that play is not just cute, it's incredibly powerful. Before we jump in, a quick reminder that you can learn more about the Why We Play letters and grab a free sample letter at notjustcute.com/why we play. These letters will help you jumpstart important conversations in your learning community about the importance and power of play in your early childhood setting. People don't value what they don't understand. If you want to help parents and colleagues understand the value of play, the Why We Play letters are a fantastic tool to help you meet that goal. You can find this episode's show notes, which are always full of links, tidbits, and resources at notjustcute.com/podcast/episode 69. If you're looking for research-based evidence to support play, you'll find the pieces I referenced today linked there. These final episodes in the series have been a little bit shorter, but packed with play. We're digging into why we play in different play areas and with different play types. This episode's focus is art and creative play. We'll look at why this type of play is so critical for a young child's development. Whether you're a champion for play or a playful learning skeptic, this series is perfect for you. Let's jump in. In 1957, the United States had a collective panic attack. The Soviets had won the first stage of the space race, launching Sputnik into space. That persistent beeping of the Soviet satellite was not only evidence that the United States had been bested on the technological front, but it also was a reminder that the same science that propelled Sputnik into orbit could certainly send nuclear warheads to the United States. Suddenly, the state of our education programs became a national emergency, as many people in power began talking about our need to help our schools, quote unquote, catch up to the Soviets. One such proponent was U.S. Navy Admiral H.G. Rickover. According to Rickover, the Soviets had gotten the edge in the space race simply because their education system was superior. Rickover reportedly lamented that children in the Soviet Union were learning math at an early age, while our children were just finger painting. But what if that finger painting is part of what has led the United States to be the powerhouse of innovation that we are now? What do you see in splashes of paint and collages covered with glue and seemingly random bits and bobs? Art in early childhood is always so much more than meets the eye. In a play-based early childhood classroom, we emphasize process-oriented art over product-oriented crafts. That means that the majority of the time, our creative activities encourage the children to explore, think outside of the box, and create something completely unique. We focus on the process of creating more than on the product being created. That's because it's the process that's so valuable. In open-ended art, children have the opportunity to take the supplies they have available and explore the reach of their own creativity and imagination. Have you ever watched the movie Apollo 13? It's based on the true story of the stranded spaceship from the 60s. My absolute favorite scene, and also the favorite scene of several of my boys, is the one where they're trying to figure out how to make a critical, mission-saving, life-saving part using only the materials that the men had on board the spaceship. The team leader back at Mission Control takes a group of engineers into a room, dumps a box of random materials onto the table and essentially says, "This is what we have, and this is what we need. Go figure it out." And using random things like a sock, a binder cover, and some tape, they make the necessary part to bring 3 astronauts safely home from space. Children are engaging in a similar process as they approach open-ended creative opportunities at the art table and in other areas of their play. Here's what you have. What can you make? How can you see something that no one else sees and create something that didn't exist here before? In creative, open-ended art activities, children also experiment with autonomy and control. They're able to express their thoughts and their feelings and make sense of their world. This process adds to well-being and mental health. And while art contributes to the so-called softer subsets of creativity and expression, at the same time, those same experiences are contributing to the brain's executive function and cognitive processes as children plan, problem solve, and employ divergent thinking. When a child shares his or her art with you, emphasize the process rather than the product. Instead of asking, "What is it?" try saying, "Wow, tell me all about this." Or, "Wow, that looks like you spent a long time making that. Would you tell me about how you made it?" Don't make the mistake that I did, commenting to my youngest son that his picture looked so fun. Not that nuclear bombs are fun, but painting is fun. To which he responded, "That's not a nuclear bomb. That's a tree, but the sunset is behind it, so it's a shadow." Womp womp. I'm not sure who felt more crushed, him or me. So keep those questions open-ended. Let them tell you all about it. Pablo Picasso said, "Every child is born an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once he grows up." In addition to plenty of encouragement, we provide lots of open-ended art experiences to help children keep that artist quality. We want them to see all of the possibilities in the tools in front of them and in the world they live in. We want them to ask questions, wonder, experiment, and observe. We want them to feel, to express, to create, and to be seen as an individual. That's the power in art. We are far less concerned with creating a class set of perfectly matched trinkets than we are with preparing a space for an amazing individual experience, an experience that lets them explore and create. We don't just do art in preschool to prepare artists, we do art to prepare children for everything. We're preparing them to innovate. Innovation is the greatest resource of our time. The most successful artists, yes, and also doctors and business leaders and teachers, tech giants, parents, engineers, and on and on and on. They stand out because of their ability to do things differently. They're able to see and create something that didn't exist before. So, how do we prepare children to be innovators in the future? By encouraging them to innovate now. When children are allowed to be creative, to imagine and direct their own play, they are innovating. They're creating something new that didn't exist before. This ability is at the root of every technological advancement in our society. Famous child development theorist Jean Piaget stated that play is the answer to how anything new comes about. We've all seen that as children play, as something new is created right before our eyes. I mean, have you ever watched a child use something in a way that you would never have imagined? A blanket becomes a fort, a rock becomes a bug, a bowl becomes a hat. This is all innovation. When children play, they answer their own questions and collaborate creatively with friends. What could I do right now? How can I get my friends to play too? Where is the best place to play? How can I make a fort from what I have? Play helps children to think outside of the box, to create, to collaborate, to problem solve, and ultimately to become innovators today and in the future. And that's why we play. Thanks again for listening to Not Just Cute, the podcast. You can find show notes at notjustcute.com/podcast/episode 69. There, you'll find links to some of the articles and research discussed today, as well as other fascinating tidbits I know you'll find interesting. If you're looking for something I've referenced today that you don't find linked there, email me and let me know. You can also hit up the show notes for a link to the Why We Play letters. Head to notjustcute.com/podcast/episode 69, or go straight to notjustcute.com/why we play to get signed up and download your free sample letter. Please be sure to catch the full Why We Play series, focused on better understanding and better articulating to others why we play in early childhood education. I'm Amanda Morgan. You can read more on my blog and sign up for the Not Just Cute newsletter at notjustcute.com. You can also stay tuned for social media updates on Instagram by following me at Amanda_NotJustCute. Thanks for listening today, and as always, thank you for standing up for children and for childhood.